Hey guys, welcome back to 90 Feet from Home. I'm your host Ashley, and in today's Baseball Basics, we're going to be talking about positions, position numbers, and lineups. In baseball, there are 9 positions, 10 if you count the DH. So typically 9 players will take the field in a defensive lineup. This includes the pitcher and all 8 position players around them. Each position on the field is assigned its own number, and those numbers are then reflected in scoring of defensive plays and also in how the team's lineup card or lineup is built. A lineup card is a physical card that's given to the umpire ahead of the game by the team's manager, letting them know who the starting pitcher is and all 9 of the starting batters in order. Once that card's been given to the umpire, the team is required to then follow that lineup card. Later substitutions are allowed, but we'll get into that as we go. So not counting the DH, the 9 positions on the field in order are pitcher, catcher, first baseman, second baseman, third baseman, shortstop, left field, center field, and right field. And each of those, as you can see, is noted by a specific number 1 through 9. Now, a little bit about each of those positions. The pitcher stands on the pitching mound and throws a ball to the opposing player's batter. Every time a pitcher throws a pitch, this begins the play. The pitcher's primary goal is to strike or otherwise induce the out of the opposing team's batter. The catcher crouches behind home plate and receives the pitches. It's also the catcher's job to call the pitches, which means he indicates what he believes the ideal pitch for the batter would be, such as a fastball inside or a curveball, whichever he believes is going to be the best pitch to get that batter out. The pitcher can shake him off with a little, which you'll often see, but typically after 1 or 2 suggestions, they do come to an agreement and the pitcher then throws that pitch. First, second, and third base is each responsible for the specific defense of one of those bases on the infield. Second base and first base players are the ones most typically involved in a double play, along with the shortstop. The shortstop usually plays between second and third base. It is considered one of the most demanding defensive positions on the field because of the range of motion they have to take on, the difficulty of plays, and their propensity for being involved in double plays. For that reason, it's not uncommon to find that your shortstop isn't very good offensively, not giving you a lot of at-bats, because it's one of the 2 positions on the field where it's more important to be good defensively than it is to be good offensively, the other one being catcher, which we'll touch on in a little bit. Left, center, and right field each cover their specific section of the outfield. Their goal is to catch any balls that look like they may leave the field, which may lead to a lot of really cool defensive catches, leaping catches, sliding catches. It's a lot of fun out there because they have to cover a lot of distance as opposed to the infield, which is a very compact area. There's a lot of running involved in the outfield, so you definitely typically want to have your fastest players out there. When it comes to scoring, the official scorer for the game will use a player's designated defensive number, which we discussed earlier, to denote what kind of play was made. For example, if a shortstop throws to second base to get the first out, and then the second baseman throws to the first baseman to get the second out of a double play is getting 2 outs in a single play. That play would then be marked as a 6-4-3 double play because the shortstop is marked as 6, the second baseman is marked as 4, and the first baseman is marked as 3. 6-4-3. Double play. As I mentioned earlier, there is a starting lineup for each game, which is indicated on a lineup card. This card is then passed along to an umpire, as well as to Major League Baseball's head office ahead of the game. Once the card is submitted, it is considered locked in for the lineup, so they cannot deviate from that original lineup unless they make substitutions later in the game. The player's position number, as well as their name, is indicated on that lineup card. As I mentioned, players can be substituted throughout the game. This is often referred to as pinch hitting if they're replacing a hitter during their at-bat or prior to their at-bat typically, or pinch running. So if a slower batter gets on base later on in a game, they may be pinch run for, which means that the manager will substitute in a faster base runner in hopes of being able to get that run in better. Once a player has been removed from the game and substituted for another player, that player cannot return to the game. Substitute players must take the exact lineup position of the player that they are replacing. There can be double switches in terms of defensive position, so if they come in, they don't necessarily have to take that player's position on the field, but they must take that player's position in the lineup. In the National League, the pitcher will usually bat 8th or 9th, which is a position typically reserved for less skilled batters because the pitchers are not typically the best hitters on the team. In the American League, the designated hitter who replaces the batter in the lineup is usually one of the better hitters on the team, so they'll typically typically bat in the heart of the order, which is between 3, 4, or 5 in the lineup. The thing about the lineup card also following the structure of having the position numbers in it means that sometimes managers can have a little bit of fun with their lineup cards. My favorite example being Joe Madden when he managed the Tampa Bay Rays in a game against the Detroit Tigers did what's referred to as the Jenny lineup. And I'll show you that right over here in the 8675309. In the case of that lineup, the 0 is the designated hitter, which is either referred to on the lineup card as a DH or a 0. There are a couple terms you're going to hear associated with lineups that are frequently used by broadcasters or in sports writing. The first batter in your lineup is considered the leadoff hitter or the leadoff man. This guy's usually really good at getting on base and is typically faster, or at least one of the faster runners on the team. The second is usually a good contact hitter who can help advance the leadoff guy if he's able to get onto base. The third in the lineup is typically the team's best hitter overall. He'll usually have the most power and the best overall stats. This guy doesn't need to be fast like the leadoff guy does. He just needs to be able to hit for power. Typically, you might see bigger guys in here, the ones who have the strength to hit for power, but may not be the fastest base runners. The fourth guy in the lineup is referred to as the cleanup hitter, and he'll also be one of the team's best hitters. His goal in this case is to clean the base paths of any runners that have reached base. So that's where you get the cleanup hitter moniker. And that guy is usually, like I said, one of the better hitters on the team. So the 5th and 6th position guys will also be guys that are pretty good hitters, guys that are pretty good at collecting RBIs. They're used in addition to your cleanup hitter as a way to get more and more players off the base paths as you go. Like I mentioned earlier, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th hitters in your batting order are typically the best hitters on the team. Your 7th and 8th hitters are typically not going to be the strongest hitters on the team. So guys like I'd mentioned who are better defensively, shortstops, catchers, will typically be located there. 9th in the order is usually another fast runner, much like your leadoff man, or your pitcher if you're in a National League team. Those are guys who are not necessarily your strongest batters, but if they're given an opportunity, will have the speed and general ability to get on base as sort of a second leadoff. And in general, that is the batting order, lineup cards, and lineups. Hope you enjoyed this episode and it made things a little bit clearer as far as what the lineup is, the starting lineup, and anything like that. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up. If there's anything you aren't sure about, please leave a question down below and I'll be happy to jump in and answer you. And as always, I'm looking for any suggestions of anything you want to learn more about when it comes to baseball. So please, if there's something that you would like me to cover, leave the message down below and I will do an entire episode dedicated on it. Always looking for great suggestions. As always, subscribe, ring the bell, give us a follow. The bell will tell you whenever new episodes are released, which is every Tuesday and Thursday. You can follow me on social media. I'm at 90 feet from home everywhere you look, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm trying to update all three more frequently. Twitter is definitely the most active, so if you're looking for me, I'm usually online pretty much every waking hour of the day there. Beyond that, I hope you'll tune in for our next episode, and we look forward to seeing you back again. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye!